This week on Cup of Joe, we are live on location in Burlington, Iowa at the 2019 Crop Advantage Series, where we interview industry experts from Iowa State University and the University of Illinois.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman, Cup of Joe, episode number 10. We're not in our studio today. We're actually in Burlington, Iowa at the Iowa State Crop Advantage Series, which is sponsored by Merschman Seeds, Iowa Corn Growers, and Iowa Soybean Association. It's a meeting that we've been involved with for, well, we can't remember when we started. It's been so long ago. But this is one of the largest meetings of its kind in the state of Iowa with over 300 plus farmers. Today we will feature some of the speakers that presented. And to start off with, let's go to Turk with Dr. Elwynn Taylor and see what the weather's going to be like this year.
Thanks, Joe. We're here with Elwynn Taylor here today at the Burlington Crop Fair. Elwynn, we got some pretty nice weather out there.
Hey, we can't complain about it. But then again, winter's not really over here, you know.
So what can we look forward to for this spring?
Well, we've got El Nino that keeps trying. And right now, the forecasters seem to think that it's with us. El Nino usually makes for a pretty nice spring and a pretty nice year, especially when you've already got enough water in the soil to start with.
Mm-hmm. Now that's excellent news. What about this summer? Any forecast for this summer? A little too early?
Well, of course it's too early, but nevertheless we like to look ahead. And when we do look ahead, we can see that there is an opportunity to have, what should I say, yet another good year, because we should be off to a good start. But the caveat to that is that we're moving into a period when we expect high variability of yields compared to the past few years, just because it cycles through that and it's that time.
Well, I know you have some information that you're presenting, going to talk about how farmers can take advantage of what they know on their farm and kind of forecast what the prices are going to be for their farm.
Well, that helps a whole lot if you know first what you're going to produce, and second, what the market's going to be doing. Is it going to be going up or down? Mm-hmm. Is the USDA estimate too high or too low? The market always goes to the USDA estimate. Yep. We're going to try to help everyone to know, is that estimate wrong? Well, they say it always is, but wrong in which direction and by how much?
Yep. Looking forward to your presentation today, Elwynn.
We hope that we've got something that everyone can use.
Yeah. Back to you, Joe.
Thanks, Turk. Now let's feature Ben Pieper, who's caught up with Dr. Aaron Hager from the University of Illinois to talk about resistant weeds. Take it away, Ben.
Thanks, Joe. Today we met up with Dr. Aaron Hager from University of Illinois weed scientist, and he just gave his presentation here, and we got a couple quick questions to recap for our Cup of Joe episode for this Saturday. So, one of the main things that you talked about to start your presentation was why mare's tail is going to be a bigger deal as we move into 2019 and 2020 in the future. Why is that a little bit different than what we've seen in the past? Are we seeing more exposure, or can you touch on that a little bit?
A couple of really important points around mare's tail. Number one, the frequency of glyphosate resistance in mare's tail, I think across a lot of the soybean and corn growing areas in the Midwest, frequency of glyphosate resistance is increasing. What that really, the implications, of course, that we really need to think very carefully about in a no-till setting. What sort of burn down product are we going to be able to use if glyphosate is not going to be very effective? Generally speaking, if we have 2 or 3 effective herbicides in the tank, the consistency of spring control of mare's tail, of fall emerged mare's tail actually in the spring is going to be much higher. The other thing, of course, is looking at the shift in the biology of this particular species. Historically, we always considered mare's tail to be predominantly a winter annual species. But I think in a lot of areas, certainly in Ohio, I think to some extent in Indiana as well as Illinois, we tend to see almost an increasing frequency and actually it behaving more as a summer annual species. And research that has been done does show that it can be competitive with soybean. And so if that's going to be one of the newer, if you would, summer annual species that we're going to have to contend with, we certainly need to plan a good residual program around the mare's tail as well.
Gotcha. Very good. You also mentioned or touched on just a little bit about how glyphosate by itself and 2,4-D by itself are not as effective as when the two products are together. Have you seen any research suggesting like something that would fit in with the Enlist program or the LLGT27 program that we're moving forward with, that a Roundup Liberty tank mix combination would be as effective, or could be effective? It's an option for a burn down situation.
Certainly glufosinate or Liberty type herbicide can be effective on mare's tail. It can be a little bit more finicky, if you would, about the environment. So if we get into very cool conditions, maybe cloudy conditions, it could take a little bit longer for it to work. But if we make the application according to label guidelines in terms of rate, weed size, etc., we can combine that with glyphosate. If it's a pre-type application, we could combine it with something like metribuzin, try to get an effective burn down, have something in there in that mix close to planting time also, then to give us the residual into the season.
Gotcha. Very good. Another question that I had is, what was one of the biggest challenges that you saw in 2018 in terms of weed resistance and trying to get the weeds killed out in the field?
Without a doubt, I think the continued evolution of multiple resistance in water hemp is going to. This is a phenomenon. It's not going to get any better. It's not going to get any less intense. We're probably, talking now about populations that have 5 different types of resistance in them. Published work recently out of Missouri identified a field that had resistance to herbicides from 6 different classes. So the resistances, the key point on resistance in water hemp is that what we know is once that resistance has been selected in the field, there's really no evolutionary advantage for it ever to go away. So in other words, once you have resistance, let's say to an ALS inhibitor, once you have resistance to glyphosate, they're there indefinitely. They're not going to leave that population. So as you continue to accumulate more and more in the field, it simply means you've lost more and more options.
So the multiple modes of action is one of the best ways. Is it your office that had done the study on how many, as you add multiple modes of actions, it increases the efficacy of both herbicides in that? Can you touch on that?
What the research that we've done looked at was basically the fact that herbicide tank mixtures of effective herbicides was a better way to forestall the evolution of resistance as compared with simply rotating herbicides. But the key point even in that paper was that it's to forestall resistance. It won't prevent it. It's only a matter of time until the weeds figure out a way, even around what could be an effective mixture in 2019, perhaps in 2020 it's not. So really the key is doing everything possible to limit any further seed production in any field. That's how you win these battles, because water hemp seed is not that long lived in the soil. And we've said for years, whatever a farmer could do, and that includes virtually every option, to try to ensure at the end of the year that there's no seed produced. That's how you win.
Gotcha.
And ultimately, that's where the species is going to drive us.
Got you. Thank you very much, Dr. Hager. And that goes back to you, Joe.
And now to Tommy Johns, who caught up with some of the local farmers and what they have to say about 2019.
Here is Jeff Ellis, down from the Donaldson area.
Yep.
I appreciate you joining us here today.
No problem, no problem.
Got a few questions for you. What do you think is going to be your biggest challenge for 2019?
I think marketing.
Yeah.
I think marketing is going to be a big one, and we learned a little bit about that today. But when and where and how to sell grain, or whether to re-own it, and not put all your eggs in one basket.
Sure.
A little here, a little there. I mean, that's always kind of been our the way we operate. But I'm thinking those pieces of the pie might need to get bigger going into a season like this with everything going on in the marketplace.
Right.
And
That's fair. It seems to be the consistency. Marketing is the main concern here for 2019. What do you think are you most excited about for 2019?
what am I excited about? I like the idea that there's variability. And when I say that, I'm marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not so much in the weather, as long as, it's not all against us, which sometimes seems to be the thing. But when there's variability in the market, that gives us opportunities.
Sure. What do you think about some of these newer soybean technologies coming on the market? You got some optimism for that, or?
I think we need all the tools we can get. I think we need options, and I say that as a person that when we go buy seed in general, there's too many options.
Sure.
But we need all the chemical programs we can get.
I think we learned that
now.
very well in Aaron Hager's presentation here today.
I think so, and I was kind of interested to see him talk about mare's tail, because we've noticed problems with that the last couple of years.
Yep.
One year we failed with it, and one year we were successful with it. So, but it's a problem.
Yep.
Just like water hemp, and if not just like it, it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly right. You got to manage those resistant weeds in a certain way. Anything else as far as you've taken away from here today, Jeff?
It's always interesting to listen to Elwynn Taylor talk.
Sure.
About the weather. It seems like some of the future, and you look 5 years out, kind of stuff doesn't change. But when you talk about the cycles he talks about,
sure,
it doesn't change fast.
Right.
And listening to Chad Hart, those are two big names that are fun to listen to. I like you said, the guy from Illinois, Aaron Hager, talking about the mare's tail. That's actually something different.
Yeah.
People haven't studied mare's tail or haven't discussed mare's tail, but
you definitely don't hear it talked about a whole lot.
Right. Not like water hemp, and we hear water hemp this, water hemp that.
Yeah.
It's a problem. I'm not going to underplay it because it's definitely an issue, but something different.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's all we have here for you, and I appreciate your time today, and thank you for coming to the Crop Advantage Series.
Yep, thank you.
And I'd like to introduce you to Bill Brewer. He's a farmer from over by Pearl, Iowa, over there just west of Indianola. And Bill, how are you doing today?
Real great. Enjoying all the speakers here today. Vast array of them, and enjoying it all.
Beautiful weather for January 4th, right?
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Makes me guilty that I'm here, but oh well.
Yep. Continuing education's always got to take the call, right? So, Bill, what's something that you're really looking forward to in 2019?
Well, farming-wise, there's not a lot to be optimistic about, but I am optimistic about the new technologies coming on, especially soybeans.
Yes.
The new GT27s, possibly Enlist. That's one of the bright spots of all the depressing things that's out there right now.
Yeah, it was really interesting listening to Aaron Hager this morning, and he talked about how if we could get Enlist here as quick as possible, that would be the best thing we could have for our soybean world right now. So what do you think some of your big challenges are going to be for 2019?
Oh, the markets, definitely.
Yeah.
The weather. Elwynn Taylor talked about the weather extremes coming, and I think that'll probably happen.
Yeah.
So markets, weather, but there is things to be optimistic about too. Even with the tariffs, it seems like the markets have been working up a little, so there's things to be optimistic about.
Well, I appreciate your positive attitude, that's for sure. So, but that's all we got here with Bill Brewer at the 2019 Crop Advantage Series, and look forward to you guys, and back to you in the office there, Joe.
Thanks, Tommy. I hope you found these interviews beneficial to your cropping plans for 2019. And as always, Merchman Seeds appreciates your business, and we'll see you next week.